Hey guys, this is Amy. Okay, so thank you so much for volunteering to teach. This is the video where I want to kind of show you how I do prep. Sorry it's taken me so long to do it. I was trying to figure out like how to be able to show you stuff out of the teacher guide and then also walk you through some things on the computer. And in the end, I just decided literally I'm going to record my screen. So it's not the greatest, but I just needed to get it done. So this is the teacher guide that you will receive. There's a obviously one just like U.S. history as well. And then Christy shared with you this document here on Google Drive. If you do not have a copy of it or you're not sure how to access it or something, let me know. I printed a copy and put it, I had already bound these books, so for now it's literally just paper clipped up here, but there will be a copy in each one of the teacher guides as well. But it's the same exact thing, and it shows you week 1, this is, human body, this is who's going to be teaching. U.S. History, which will be our second subject. There's 2 lessons of history, so only one of human body because we thought that would be too much, and then 2 lessons of U.S. history, and then I will teach history the first week. Then week 2, again, we're on human body, and Christy actually, I printed my copy out first, but in the online copy, you'll see it says human body lesson 2. And then if I scroll down a little more, you can see U.S. history lesson 3 and 4. So it shows you there. So when you get way down, you'll be able to tell like, oh, I'm teaching lesson 15 or whatever, 15 and 16, if that's the case for history. If you cannot teach on one of the weeks that you're assigned to, let me know and I'll see if I can get somebody to maybe switch with you or reschedule or something. But you will be passed this guide. So the teacher guide will be given to you the Monday before. So when we go to class this Monday, I will have a teacher guide for history. Josh will have the science teacher guide. And then when he gets done teaching, he's going to pass it along to the person for week 2, which is Kim Smith for science, and history would be Nikki. So the teacher guide will be given to you, this day. You'll get the teacher guide on September 11th. You'll not teach until the 18th. So you'll have a full week to do this prep stuff that I'm going to talk about today, which is maybe like a 45-minute deal. I mean, it's not much longer than that. But the first thing you want to do is get familiar with the lesson that you're teaching. We made this book, and I'm going to explain what we did here, but it can be a little choppy to navigate because we added a bunch of extra pages in here. So for example, and there's going to be nicer tabs Christy's going to put on there for me, but I just stuck these for today. So when I go to lesson 1, this is the actual teacher guide that will be projected on the screen. This is the stuff that I'm going to be reading to the kids. It is a lot of text. You can see that. So as I'm going through, First, I want to try to break it up as much as I can with the stuff mentioned here in the workbook pages. I also want to, as I'm kind of reading, every once in a while I'll come across something I feel like is redundant, or it could be these 4 sentences could be summarized by only one of them. You can write in this book. I literally would just scratch out what you need. Yeah, so just make whatever changes you need in here. Like I said, write all in here. There's no concern at all. We're not trying to keep this perfect or anything. So at the beginning, I might even write a comment here saying, workbook pages are 7 and 9 or something, and I'll show you how you know that. But that might be something I mention at the beginning is like, hey guys, okay, so you're going to turn to look for the picture of the brain in your book. It's going to have a number 1, even though that's a weird number 1. So that's how the kids know they're going to be on lesson 1 in their workbooks. And then the same when we get down here, like turn to the body or turn to the picture of the brain and, look for lesson 3. That's how they know what page to start on in their workbooks. And then when I want to play the video, which I'm going to have watched ahead, I will click on this link. And again, that's where a actual computer, that's where this file is going to come in. So I can just click here, it brings it up, and then I can click on, okay, let me make sure I get close enough so you guys can see. So I just, clicked on this YouTube link. It popped up that little thing. I click on that, and that's going to open up the actual video for us. So you want to have watched the video ahead to figure out where would be a good place to insert it. Because if I can, stick it in somewhere over here, like I read all that, and then I can stop and play a video, that will kind of break up the content. If I have to read all this first and play the video at the very end, it's just a lot for the kids to take in. So I want to try to break it up as much as I can. The same with the workbook page. So I just draw a little line right here and I say video, and then I write the name of the video. In this case, it'd just be Human Body Systems Overview or something. Because I might need to cue Christy in the back, who's going to be, working the sound and the projector stuff. I might need to say, she'll have all the videos ahead and they will be in the order that you want to play them if there's more than one. But it's just a kind of a good idea to know which video you meant and why. So you can just note where you're actually putting that in. Okay, and then I can also see, looking at my document here, that day the activity and craft is going to be the human body model. Most of the time it'll be an actual link you can click on like these others. In this instance, it happens to be this take apart skeleton model thing that will happen at each table. So if that's the case, we'll make sure that you know about that ahead of time so you understand and if it's something that has supplies, like down here. Okay, so in this week, Kim Smith is the teacher. So we're going to make a Jello candy cell model. So she can click on this link and in this case get a photo of it. Sometimes it's a video. We don't normally play the video for the kids. We explain it instead to them. But this will give you guys an idea of actually what the activity is going to be. And then this week also we're going to have a microscope set up in the back with some skin cells so that they can actually view the microscope slides. And here, this is U.S. History on week 2, but the kids are going to be doing this protect your tea bag activity. So again, this link here is just so that you can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing, understand what the supplies are, which we will have already gathered and gotten organized. But depending on what the activity is, you might need to make a sample or see a sample so that you understand, how to explain it. You can see all of the videos on our YouTube channel. So hopefully my screen is not showing up weird for you guys. It looks kind of blurry or whatever but okay, so let's see if I'm just on youtube.com. Our YouTube is called RA Raising Arrows. So if okay, I thought I had it in there. Okay, so if I do an @ symbol and then RA, oh geez. Okay, here it is. I had already typed it in. So @ symbol RA, then Raising Arrows. And if I click on that, I will get to our YouTube channel. It has our little logo there. So you can subscribe to this or whatever so that you can have easier access. But I see there's a fall week 1 here, so I can view the playlist. These are all the videos that Christy's going to play, and in the order that we're going to play them. So there's the Pledge of Allegiance we're going to do. We're going to do the Pledge to the Bible. So this is that first video that we clicked on, and these will be the 2 history videos. I have them in a certain order here, but if for some reason it makes sense, the flow that they should go separate, you can literally just, well, I'm not on the Raising Arrows thing, so never mind, scratch that. You can't make a change. But I could see the different videos that are going to be played there. And the same thing, we've got all the weeks already laid out. So I could, if I'm on week 4, I could go ahead and see ahead, like what exactly am I supposed to be teaching on? Here's a video about what makes muscles grow. Here's about the Declaration of Independence, George Washington, whatever. So you can access our Facebook page. You have access to this entire syllabus already, showing you exactly what you'll teach about. So it should be pretty laid out. Basically, again, you're going to be figuring out where you would put those things. Okay, so the only other thing I want to talk about is workbook pages. This is where the book kind of becomes a little bit choppy. So in the actual teacher guide, after the lesson ends, which is right here, they just kind of do this recap thing, showing you what upper elementary would get, what middle school would be doing, and so on. But it's a little confusing. So what we did was we took the actual workbook pages they're in the kids' books and put them behind your lesson 1. So this is what a kid would see for lesson 1 if they're in the early reader age group. There's usually 2 pages per lesson, but in this particular lesson, there's actually only 1. History, there will be 2. Science, there may only be 1. Okay, so again, this is page 1, and this is for early elementary. So I think those were exactly the same, a little bit different with the trace it, copy it. But it's just saying, as you listen to today's lesson, color the picture, copy the vocabulary words, and see if you can write an interesting fact or something that you've learned. Okay, so now we're to upper elementary. So you can see there's a little bit harder. And then now we're at middle school. So one of the kind of struggles that we have is keeping everybody on the same time flow, because obviously the page for the younger kids, they've got quite a bit less to do than the middle schoolers. We do have a high schooler this year as well. So you'll see that there's a high school page, and they need to be taking notes during their lesson. And they have some other things to do here. Sometimes it'll even say like research something, and we've informed them in my little welcome video that they might even need to take their books home to do some more work. But this is how you'll know what page number the kids will need to be on. So in this case, they were actually, I think, most of them are 11. This person's on 13, this age group. That age group is on 13. So that's where I go at the beginning of my guide, and I write in workbook pages 11 or 13. I write that right at the beginning of my lesson so I can remind them, but I'm still always telling them to look for the brain and, look for the brain with the number 1 in it. That tells you you're on the right page. So that's where this book gets a little choppy, because you just have to know, like, we're going from 20, 21, which would be then 22, 23. Try not to lick my fingers here touching the book, but it's making it hard to flip pages, especially one-handed. Okay, so we jump from 22 to 23, and then it looks like we went to page 13 because we chopped up the workbooks and stuck them in. So just know that it's a little tricky to navigate, but the reason we did it is so that you don't have to bounce back and forth on workbooks. Okay, so now this is lesson 2 as an example. So this would be week 2. So this would be Kim Smith's lesson, but we're going to be doing nails and skin. We have some examples of a cell model. Okay, I actually marked this out here because I think that was a typo on their end. Every other place where I Googled that word came up with endoplasmic. So we can even mention that, just tell the kids on stage, because we're making the cell labels, so I had to type it out. And I think that was a typo. But anyway, so here's again all the different pages. And then when you get to the end of the lesson, now you'll start seeing workbook pages. So it just kind of abruptly starts a whole different lesson 2. So now we're in science. So this is the page the early reader would have, and they'll have 2 pages now. See, this is still an early reader page. So now you'll have to note in your notes when you're doing your lesson, where do I want this to be done? Could I stop halfway? Like, that's a cell model diagram. So maybe I don't want to talk all the way about skin. Maybe I want to wait until, maybe I want to stop early, and let's just get to this page. After we do this page, maybe I put right here, pause to complete workbook page 13, or 18 or whatever it is. So I could just write that here. Like, you have complete control over that sort of flow. Then after so you pause for 10 minutes and everybody completes their pages, and then you come back to tissue and build up. We want to try to build in those pauses as much as we can, just so that it's not like pure reading, because this is a lot for a 5-year-old to sit and listen to. The older kids will be able to know. And we've also asked the older kids to bring a workbook so that they can take notes, like just a blank composition book, because again, it's like so much content back to back. And then, so for the early readers, then they will have this page 2. And see, this lesson, this page 2 is more about the skin. and it's specifically about burns. So then maybe you go ahead and talk about the skin, and then you say, okay, now let's everybody stop, and you're going to make work on the second burns page, which would be 22. And then maybe for the older kids, it's a little like middle school. It looks like, let's see here, middle school has page 16 and 19 is there. So this is the burns page, and this is their cell model page. And I think I might have put this bound in there backwards, because you see the 16 actually comes after the 19. So I'm human, and I had to print 2,000 pages and get all these books bound, and I did a lot of errors, let me just say. So if you could bear with me on that, there's a lot of them that are even like double punched because I punched the wrong side, and when I went to coil it, I realized, I did it wrong. And anyway, so, you might see little things like that, sorry about that. And hopefully it's not too confusing. But okay, so that's really all that I wanted to say about prepping. You need to figure out what you need to watch the videos ahead. You need to make sure you understand the craft or activity in this case, and how to actually teach that. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know. I'm happy to explain like what my intent was, or how you could, sometimes maybe it's not clear, like, well, how would I separate by groups, or those sorts of things. Like just ask whatever questions you have. That's perfectly fine. And like I said, don't hesitate to write in here or do whatever you need. You will have this book. You'll be reading out of this book when you're teaching your lesson. So make whatever notes seem relevant to you. Write whatever you need. I mean, don't scratch out whole paragraphs, but like there's lots of times where I feel like, are we really just saying 5 sentences about that? Isn't that just summing up whatever that previous thing was? I just take a pencil and draw a line through the whatever. Or sometimes I make notes on how to pronounce certain things. Like I have to ask Google, how do you say, I guess that's patella. Okay, so that's a bad example. But, when I get to history, I don't know how to say these people's names. I have to look it up on Google, and then I have to write my own self like a little pronunciation thing. And I still don't even get it wrong. I guess that's hematoma. Okay, so it's not as bad in this book, but you know what I mean? Can be the case. But that's why we want to give you this book ahead, so you have a week to to check it out and figure out and ask whatever questions you have and that sort of thing. And again, the book will be passed week to week. So if you have any questions or concerns, definitely let me know. I've only shown you the science here, but I do have an exact same book that's the U.S. history book. So it'll just be passed back and forth to all the different teachers. So sorry for the long video, but I hope that answers all the questions. Thank you.